Namaste everyone, welcome back to Stories You Should Know. I'm Tarushi. On Wednesday, a group of 140 lawyers sent a signed petition to Chief Justice of India, S.A. Bodbey, requesting him to take suo motu cognizance of mobile internet suspension near farmers' protest sites. They also demanded to set up an inquiry commission to probe the police in action dealing with violence during a tractor rally on Republic Day. We have Sitwat Nabi today with us, who's one of the advocates who drafted this letter. Hi Sitwat, welcome to Stories You Should Know.
Thank you so much for having me, Tarushi. It's an honor.
Thank you for taking out time. I want to start by highlighting 3 points from the letter. That's mobile internet suspension. Another one is police inaction dealing with violence, and local hoodlums who damaged the property and attacked the protesters. The
Right.
point of putting all these points in a petition and sending it to the Chief Justice of India, I want to understand as a citizen of this country, of do these petitions, all the petitions that are being filed, are each of them being looked by the CJI when they are filed?
See, ever since there has been overturning of events since the clash, the alleged tractor rally, there has been a bunch, I mean, thousands of lawyers who have started, working and it started to reach out to the respective courts. So, see, every matter has got to be decided within its jurisdiction, right? So, from Punjab and Haryana High Court to the Chief Justice, there has been letter petitions, there has been writ petitions, PILs that had been filed. So, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, there was a PIL that had been filed with the banning of the internet access, and then the batch of petitions has been entertained by him, rather disposed of by him 2 days ago. So yeah, they are looked. I mean, of course, at every court, the PIL pertaining to the internet access at the Punjab and Haryana court has not yet been dealt with. So with Supreme Court, they are handling and honestly, there are many such PILs that are still on its way because it has not yet been dealt with as it should have by the
Right. So when
Supreme
we
Court
talk
and respective
about
high courts. Yeah.
when we talk about the mobile internet suspension, last year on 10th of January, Supreme Court gave a judgment that it's the access to internet is the fundamental right under the Constitution of India. And yet, again and again, the government keep on doing the same thing. So where does it exactly leave the judgment that's already been given?
See, as far as the right to internet access as a fundamental right is concerned, it was first enacted and it was first decided in a monumental decision by Kerala High Court. And it was in May 2019. However, in January last year, we got the first decision regarding this by the Supreme Court, and it was followed by another judgment. So those two judgments are basically Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, and then there was the Foundation of Media Professionals versus Union of India. So, in the first judgment, which was Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, the court held that freedom of speech and expression over the internet is a fundamental right. Okay, and it also held that freedom of expression through internet is one of the integral parts of Article 19(1)(a), which is freedom of speech and expression granted and enshrined under the Constitution of India. So one of the major aspect that we need to understand and compare with this situation was that in that judgment, which was authored by Justice Ramana, both the judgments were authored by Justice Ramana. He held that government has to justify why lesser restrictions would be inadequate. And lastly, complete prohibition is justified as a question of fact that is to be determined by the court in every case. So, if you compare with the situation we have herein, the farmers' protest had been going on peacefully for over 2 months, and it was only after 26th of January we could say that things are going out of hands. Even then, if you really want to put law and order, and if you want to give certain security reasons as a reasoning behind it, that is still not justified because we draw our right from those two judgments wherein it was held that it has to be justified, the principle of proportionality has to be taken into consideration, and the restriction has to be reasonable. So in the light of that, and since 29 January, if I'm not wrong, the Ministry of Home Affairs issued the ban, and it continued until yesterday, and legitimately by the order. However, I was told that the ban is still going on. I'm sorry, the ban is still going on and it's still suspended at the Singhu border. However, not at Ghazipur border, because it
Right.
does leave an impact when so many lawyers back the that voice which is trying to reach out to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, the letter also brings up the central government's action at the protest sites, embedding nails in the roads and digging trenches to ensure that the protest sites are cut off. So, how does a letter deal with it? What's the kind of decisions you're expecting from the CJI in this matter?
See, like I said, there have been a bunch of petitions that has been filed. That was entertained 2 days ago, and one of the petitions was filed by an advocate, and he sought inquiry into the tractor rally, and he sought inquiry into why did such a situation arise in the first place. So he sought 3-member special committee in order to look into it. And apart from that, there were a batch of petitions which also sought uh, these kinds of, basically the court to ensure that something that has happened and reasoning needs to be given, and the people who are behind it needs to be caught. And then if we realize that there's genuinely such danger, such security issues, then only you could go ahead with whatever you want to do. However, Supreme Court did not entertain it. Supreme Court rather highlighted that the Prime Minister, in his statement, he said that the Prime Minister in his statement has said that the law will take its own course, so the government is investigating it. And he also quoted that, I mean, he said, and I quote, "We are sure the government is inquiring into it and taking appropriate action." So this is the situation right now, and that's what's been happening. This goes to show the Supreme Court's mind while entertaining and while dealing with such a serious issue.
So, where does this group of 140 lawyers right now stand with the petition and the letter and the appeal, and with whatever the
See,
court has decided so far?
see, ideally, a letter is not a substantive petition, right? A letter at its best can invoke epistolary jurisdiction. But the reason behind sending the letter was because already there has been PILs and representations and complaints and FIRs that had been going on. It was basically intended to be a voice of lawyers, and it also had its impact because it had a massive outreach. It really was received well. It made a lot of news, and to some extent what we can do is create some kind of pressure and make the authorities sitting there to think and rethink and realize that these kinds of things are not, we are not going to be mute spectators to it. So as of now, we are just waiting to see whether the court takes actions and takes cognizance of that letter, and hope that it invokes the epistolary jurisdiction, and that the judge acts on it. But there is this PIL which I just said that it was pertaining to the internet ban that has yet not been taken. It has been filed, and when you file, it goes through all these stages where objections has to be removed or not, and then it gets admitted. So that is yet to be decided, and that is yet to be entertained by the court. So yeah, we're just hoping for that.
And the part in the letter which mentions about the local hooligans who came and damaged the property and attacked the protesters. So, because a lot of news articles and pieces has been coming out which says that they were not the villagers, they were in fact nowhere from the area, and the villagers are also talking about it. So, when you put in the statement in the letter, is there a kind of like you have something to back it up with? You have been talking to people around who knows about these things?
uh, there have been so many videos floating on the internet wherein you could actually see them coming up and owning it all up, and making such noise that is not, and I can only say from what I've heard from my lawyer friends who are present at the site. The localites, they say that we do not have any issues with the farmer protesters. They've been there for 2 months. It's the police who've been, you know, we've all been witness to the barricading and the iron nails and all of that. So on that day, the way they barged into the site, the way they uh, cause such violence, it's not something that it is in the capacity of localites. It's only the bunch of people who got a backing of higher authority who would come and not face the kind of brunt that the protesters are rather facing by the police. There are so many videos that are circulating wherein the men who are with all that, that loud voice and the kind of anger that they have are saying that hum khali karenge, hum hatenge nahi, and then you see them turning towards the police and shaking hands. So it obviously goes to suggest that it's not the localites, it's the people who came telling,
Right.
allegedly calling themselves localites.
Mhm. So when we talk about the data that we gather from the social media and also the news articles and pieces, because a lot of media agencies are now trying to go over there, but because of the barricades and the digging of the roads, what has happened, they're not able to go
we
there and
we've
cover the
we've
news
all,
now.
yeah. So see, that's the beauty of the current government. uh, they would hold the amount of people, whoever, whatsoever they are. They would restrict movement. They would immobilize them. They would ban the internet. They would restrict the media, with the exception of the biased medias. And then when they would find journalists recording their conduct, they would hold them, assault them. Get we all know the example of Mandeep Punia, right? We have also seen his interviews. He has shown his wounds. He has shown how he was. I mean, he's explained all that happened to him. That the entire day he was recording the brazen conduct of the police. He was taken into, and also the fact that police knew that there are presence of certain journalists who are genuinely reporting what the actions are and not making biased reportings. So Mandeep Punya himself has said that, he was beaten black and blue, and his videos that he had in his small tiny camera, all the videos that he had, they kept on deleting. The moment they would delete one video, they would beat him even more, and they say, you know this is what you want to do, this is what you want to report, now we'll show you, we'll put you in Tihar. So
Right.
that's the kind of silencing that has been going on, and it is complete violation of, the constitutional fabric. It's not something that we should just
You know,
sit around and let them
when
do.
we talk about the journalists now being putting behind the bars for their reporting or saying
Hmm.
something on their social media handles, and they are being called anti-nationalist because that's the word that has
That's
come
quite in
out.
these days.
Yes, it has become like a slogan. So when these kind of things happen, where does the law stands for journalists like these, or anyone who's supporting these protests or saying anything in the favor and is being called anti-nationalist? Where does the exactly law comes in for their benefit?
See, first of all, the fact that this has been happening is in itself something which no country in its right senses should ignore, should allow it to continue. And as far as the illegal detentions are concerned, as far as all these farmers that have been missing and their rights are concerned, we have habeas corpus petitions that are being filed, and there are certain guidelines that needs to be followed. So for example, if in the case of Mandeep Punia, he was arrested and nobody had news on him for straight 10 to 15 hours, right? Then it was found out that he's in Alipur police station, and the very next day, as the law would suggest, that they need to sign the arrest memo, they need to have their kin come and meet them within 8 hours, and they need to be presented before the magistrate. Nothing of that was followed. He never had any defense lawyer. He was then transferred to Tihar jail without having a lawyer represent him. So no matter what laws are laid out, there needs to be direction to the right authority to follow them. So
Right.
in that light, we have written representations and letters to Commissioner of Police. We have highlighted that and also as per the Delhi DDMA, there are they're now saying that we will not allow you because you have to first undergo the quarantine period. So as per the DDMA, which is the Department of Delhi Disaster Management Authority, the quarantine period is supposed to be 7 days, and that was widely order dated 16th of November 2020. However, the police authorities, they say that it's 14 days, which is not true, because you will be governed by the order that has come by the DDMA. So we have also written representations to the DIG of the Tihar jail. We have also written letters to the Commissioner of Police asking them to put out the complete list of FIRs that have been filed against the persons who've been detained. And you know how many people are missing ever since the tractor. There are minors who are, their families do not have any knowledge of. And when all of this goes on, you shut the internet.
How is the news supposed to go out and reach the masses if the internet shutdown keeps on happening?
Yeah,
That's the whole point.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. This is what they want, right? They do not want the right reporting to go out. They do not want that. That's. But however, see, we did all we could, and they did not extend the order, and now the internet access at Ghazipur border has been restored, and it's working just fine. So
Right.
probably it had some impact. All these noises, it did have some impact.
Okay, so Sidvat, now because we have discussed the entire letter that you sent to the CJI, I want your opinion on the farm law exactly, the legalities of it, the entire thing, the crust of it. What do you have to say about it?
See, I will not touch it in detail, but as a lawyer, I would tell you what I find is completely obnoxious about one of the farm laws, which is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act. Okay, so under this act, there is a chapter 3 which governs the dispute redressal mechanism. Right, every act has got its own set of remedies, wherein if there is a dispute, that the parties can go to the courts. So under this act, there is no mention of, there's no remedy before the civil court. Okay, and section 8 to section, if I'm not wrong, it's until 15. It so if you really read them, section 15 in particular says that no civil court will have the jurisdiction to entertain any suit or proceedings. If the farmers have any dispute, they will have to go before a committee which will be presided by the chairperson, or the the head, along with the members, and those will be decided by the by the SDM's office, by the subdivisional magistrate. There is a concept of bifurcation of powers, right? We have got our organs, which is executive, judiciary, and legislative. If there is no check and balance, and if there is no separation of power between the executive and the judiciary, do you really think that the farmer should not apprehend that the government will SDM is basically a government, right? They're the voice of the government, so they are anyway, they're not having the liberty to go before the civil court. So what is the correct direction for them? Once, if they are not happy with the outcome of the order of the SDM, of that committee, where do they go? So this is something which is tarnishing the constitutional fabric. And in the light of this particular aspect of this act, I think that the government needs to fix it. It needs a retouching. It does need it. So that's what I think about that aspect, being a lawyer.
Right. Thank you, Sitwat. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast. There were so many things that I got to understand and learn from you. I wish you all the best for the kind of
Most
work you are
welcome.
doing.
Thank you so much. You're most welcome. Looking forward to connect with you
Thank you
and
so
discuss
much.
even more so that there are people who get to know all these kinds of things that's been going on, and
Absolutely.
everybody needs to know what is going on.
Right.
Unless and until it doesn't knock at their doors, they sit and be a mute spectator to it, but everyone should know what is the ground reality.
Oh,
So yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much.